WoW's dev team are finally experimenting again in a good way. As far as WoW's team experimenting, they've been doing a great job. Plunderstorm, this entire remix event, they haven't been afraid to try crazy new things. And even though the silent minority, or the loud minority, voices their opinion on everything Blizzard does in a negative way, they're still trying new things. And that's good. I don't want them to be discouraged from that. Let's see what Bellular and his buddy here have to say about what evergreen content is coming. New evergreen content.
The Brawlers Guild will return, which is our next story.
It will, yeah.
Don't know why I did like that. Whatever. Brawlers Guild is back. Archaeology, not a profession in the future if it does come back.
This is interesting.
Archaeology is such a miss, man. Archaeology was so much fun, and it would be a great thing. We're going underground, right? We're going underground, literally. Why can't archaeology be a thing for this expansion? I don't get it. What a miss.
This is preview format.
We're doing delves.
Like,
it's like literally archaeology.
They love fantasy, though.
Yeah. Delves too. They experimented with the that was obvious.
Sad.
We were like, was this the archaeology we wanted all along? And then no one liked it, and then went, no, it wasn't. Next, please. Try again, thank you. Brawlers go a little bit, just literally evergreen format, not right away, which implies they're hoping for a very nice mid expansion. Because as we discovered,
not right away means eventually.
They are no longer the company that goes, you've got an expansion, no fucking ask us running for 2 years. They're now you've got an expansion.
Maybe.
Would you like some more, sir or ma'am? And you're like,
well, technically it would be less than 2 years because Blizzard has indicated that these expansions are going to hit at a faster rate than previously. So the War Within should not last 2 years if what they said is true.
Yeah, your sub, you're like, oh yeah, fuck, that's right, shit, we are paying for patches, damn. But yeah, so that's nice. I think the Brawler Guild is fantastic.
As opposed to paying for nothing.
Yeah.
It's a massive improvement.
It's fucking huge.
Yeah. It actually reminds me of being a Battlefield fan, where you're sitting there in the Battlefield live service where you've got 2 maps, remembering the good old days when there was a map.
I have never felt like I was paying for nothing more than when I had my sub still active at the end of WoD. Don't ask me why my sub was still active. Probably because my parents were still paying for it at the time, maybe. But, yeah, end of WoD, there was no content. That sub was being paid every month, and there was literally nothing to do.
Pack every quarter, and the game ended with like
thank God we have not
maps,
entered that state again.
Yeah.
Imagine returning to a time where we could simply pay for content, get content, happy.
See, this is why I play gacha games. I don't have to pay for content. Someone else is paying it for me.
Good old gotchas.
Which is a horrible thing to say. It's like, yeah, what's that? Some fucking Chinese software engineers like putting like $40,000 here into fucking Honkai Star Rail. So I don't have to give them a cent.
It's like that or Evergrande.
Yeah, that's true.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I enjoy that. I it's immoral of me, but I do enjoy that. I'm not always good.
Your entertainment is benefiting from gambling.
You could be right, Egg, about that.
And I have moral
I'm assuming that Blizzard basically wants to push archaeology away from professions and more towards the big digs event style. Maybe they don't want to make it a profession because they want everybody to do it. They want to kind of make archaeology like an actual in-game mechanic rather than just a profession. That would be fine. But then I would say don't eliminate archaeology. Just make it something else. Add a little tweak to it. Make it something a little bit cooler. I don't know. It was such a cool concept, archaeology. I feel like it's just gone.
But never when I'm playing them. I'm too busy going, that cinematic
Live out that Indiana Jones.
That's when it matters.
I'm just like, that was really cool. MiHoYo Merchants winning again. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Honestly, pretty good. Yeah. Pretty exciting.
Brawlers is great. I hope in their evergreen ideas, I hope they bring some of the older stuff back, because it's just too good to be wasted. Especially when by design, realistically, a lot of those things ended up being so agnostic that you could just go, fucking do a stick and evoker in that fight. But evokers run around. Fuck, whatever, it's fine. Whatever. They shoot spells to do damage, and they don't stand in stuff that kills them. And they've got defensives. It's all the same framework of a class, so it should just work in Brawlers Guild.
Yeah.
So I hope they are able to restore some of that old stuff. But like, yeah, fuck it, we can have the Super Hexagon fight. Just fire it in there. We can have the Paladin Boy fight. They have to. I can't remember what it was. But you have to do whatever during his like bubble to break it. Stuff like that was cool as shit. And I like. This is very much me thinking...
all during Mists of Pandaria.
The best expansion we've ever had.
It was a good expansion.
There was something about the intersection of, I guess, just a lot of an era of that team kind of cresting, sort of before ending up, moving on to other things.
Yeah,
So-
I
Right.
actually feel like that's
That really is like the end of, people will say, oh, you got the first 3 expansions, but really it felt like, to me at least, and maybe it had to do with my age, transitioning into, college and all that shit, but Mists of Pandaria did feel like the final real, like original style expansion. We had the new content, the leveling and everything, and it's, for some reason, after Mists, WoW felt a little bit different. Now, like I said, my life changed a lot at that point, too, so that could have had something to do with it. Same with, I started college when Cataclysm happened, and then, Mob Camp, all that shit, but I guess the original team also did kind of, wean away from Blizzard at that time. A lot of them started to leave the company, so that probably has something to do with it. But they did leave a lot of good content behind. So Brawlers Guild could certainly be used to bring a lot of that shit back.
That's
It's
my
felt
current my current explanation is World of Warcraft ended with Mists of Pandaria and then started again a wee bit, and it was fucking sick, and then it was great, and then a wee bit shite, and then good again.
Shite.
It took them a long time to find.
That's
the
a new
feet,
way to say
which is to do with I would immediately take this into a direction of going nurture your talent, blah 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 blah. But with a long running
My
game.
God, Matt, you commie.
Yeah, but with the long-running game like World of Warcraft, you completely understand why you would like. And I know there were issues at Blizzard and stuff that caused this as well.
Yeah.
But like theoretically, it's like the FF14 team is a bit of an outlier, I think. Them been like, we're chilling
the
for like
old
10
way to
years,
say
we'll
it.
fucking keep doing this until we're all dead. You're like,
I guess.
Jesus Christ. Whereas like someone's like, I've been working on World of Warcraft for 10 years. I would like to do anything different, please. I could totally see that vibe.
I could see burnout
So
like
it's
that
like a bit
happening for
different for
sure.
WoW in that era, where it's like it's going to be a struggle to keep people on beyond the point they're interested. But if you have people, and I think the current dev team are very good at taking ownership of World of Warcraft in a bunch of ways. Some to a degree that's a little bit too much. I literally don't know specific names. I'm just thinking about like vibes from playing it and things like what changes have come in, and like it is their game, but it's also it's a descendant of it's their game, but it's a descendant of another game kind of vibes. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Go play Persona 4 and have all the stories about. You could go trying to be the.
They've also kind of taken the path that it's not just their game or descendant of the old game, it's our game. Like I feel like they've taken so much more community feedback. They really implement things. They don't just think players are dumb. I think they realize that there's a lot of players in this game with like 20 years of experience now playing. So they probably know a little bit of something about what they're talking about when they give feedback. And Blizzard's been really good about taking that and implementing it, especially when it makes sense.
Proprietor of the family,
Which has been
and,
one of the
family
best things
hand,
about the team
like,
right now.
responsibility to carry the family business stuff. There's a little bit of that happening.
Of course, the old generation of quests is, haha, blood elf males, gay, beer, motorcycles.
Yeah, and this one's like, this current one is, haha, blood elves gay. That's a good thing. Which is very different.
Yeah. It's a reflection on
but
The
like,
day the
look.
Deathwing came, the most...
WoW has been around for a very long time, 20 years, and in those 20 years, society has changed a lot too. So that and that's going to affect the game. Obviously.
endlessly re-talked about quests.
yeah. So like, there's certainly like a bit of talent, like nurturing to do there and cultivation, which I think is perfect for the Brawlers Guild, because I really do think there's a. I was talking about this because I was talking about this yesterday when doing mop and like going through some of the boss fight, like seeing how different the raids felt, how different dungeons even felt at times. Obviously, some of them have been sort of reworked.
I think
for modern
raids
stuff.
were easier.
But with how dungeons feel different, how raids feel different, how quests feel so much different, and how questing hubs feel different, and they've learned new lessons. There's a lot of it to me comes across as that this is clearly a different game. Clearly a different game made by different people. And I think the Brawlers Guild is the perfect example of, would you like...
I would say, like, of all the expansions, the closest thing to vanilla WoW questing was Burning Crusade. And that's not just because it follows it chronologically, but like just the grindiness of the quests, how slow leveling was in BC. I spent hours upon hours in Nagran picking up Talbuk poop. I mean, that shit is classic WoW. That's literally like you got to go kill 400 of this animal, 300 of it, just running around mindlessly killing shit. That's classic WoW questing. And that was the closest thing to it. They started to iterate on that, change things, adding new ways to quest in Wrath of the Lich King. You know, you had the cool snow giant quest where you'd ride his back and blast things. A ton of stuff like that. Different mechanics added to quests. But like original vanilla WoW questing really ended after BC. That's how it felt to me.
To give someone, and I know they have internal experiments that don't ever see light of day, so it's not like people, but like you can't be on production tasks all day long forever. You might need that for your production to work, but it's going to ultimately result in some sort of sterility or staleness, which is why Brawlers Guild is a perfect example of them. And like this is why I really love the mob remix experiments. While I actually don't really personally agree that World of Warcraft should move towards more RPG route in any of its core content, I hope that maybe they'll learn some lessons about progression that'll like merge back in quite nicely.
Yeah.
Or the Plunderstorm experiment where they get to experiment more with gameplay and gameplay design. The reason I was super happy about that more than anything else was I just imagined being like being on the dev team, able to go, what do we get to do?
I like that they took chances.
Like super real-time World of Warcraft content is not tab targeting. Holy fuck.
Yeah,
and you can even
that was a crazy
tell,
concept.
Like,
I still can't believe they did that.
You'll immediately see throughout the War Within stuff that...
And honestly, they implemented it pretty well. Like, WoW has always been a tab targeter, right? And then Plunderstorm brought in, like, this frontal, you know, you're aiming and shooting and doing that, and it actually worked decently. Like, the fact that they did that in the same engine is pretty wild to me. But it was not that bad. And now we're probably going to see more abilities like that put into the game. You never know. Already there's, like, frontal cone abilities for Drakthir and stuff where you aim it, you shoot it kind of stuff. But the non-tab targeting was pretty wild.
You went, oh, they
did it. They did it successfully.
In Plunderstorm. You'll see that in patch content. You go, oh, they learned how to do that. An example, I think, is actually, and apologies if the segment's running on a little bit, I do actually think it's pretty important. There's a bunch of the things with the Doom timer and the Ritual timer from the Warlock tree. That's clearly something they learned how to do new. They could decrement a buff duration based on some other thing. Because I've never seen that before. And now they're like, yeah, we just use it fucking ever. And it's like, being able to step outside your boundary.
What happens? What does he talk? They decrease a buff duration based on something that's happening? I mean, I know we've had buff upkeep duration for a long time. If you guys are, I mean, what's it called? Back in Shadowlands, I just know from Frosty Cave, Frostwolf's Fury, there was ways to keep it up, right? That's been in the game for a while. But keep significantly shrinking a buff duration based on what you were doing? I didn't know that was something new or a new concept.
To make something new is literally learning new skills, trying new things, teaching new things. And one of the reasons I'm super, Brawlers Guild ties in this because the Brawlers Guild is a perfect way to test design, to test agnostic design. Would we have gotten the Mage Tower if we didn't get the Brawlers Guild first? Probably not. Because that was him able to test out what solo boss fight design looks like.
Yeah, I'm thinking of
that's why I'm super happy for Delves having an opportunity to give a little bit more of that kind of stuff. And some of the Delves are clearly, they're like, it's what have we got? Spinny boss man chases you, fuck whatever. And like, I'm sure there'll be others that will be like more interesting and more unique. Because there's the version of, I need this done this week, and I've got a week to try stuff out, and then I'll do it next week. And there's big differences there. So I think Brawlers Guild being low stakes, let's try something new, will be ultimately super helpful for the health of the game. In the same way all the current experiments are, where I expect to see a lot of map remix stuff woven back into the game at some point, be it the currency like philosophy, or be it in like the Tinker Gem builds, anything like that.
I've always wanted less currencies in WoW. I think one problem that they've noticed with Mists of Pandaria and having the single currency basically is making players choose between buffing their power, right, becoming stronger, or getting a mount or a transmog or something like that. Because people are getting very angry in the choices that they have to make because of how long it's taking them to gather bronze. So maybe separating those things out in terms of currencies, but one thing we certainly don't need is 5 new currencies every single patch. Please, God, make it stop.
I can completely imagine that. And one of the reasons I think this a lot is actually the Hi-Fi Rush stuff recently, because that GDC talk went up with the director of Hi-Fi Rush going like, and this is how we made the game, more or less. Here's how we took a team that was like, we were known for horror games because we made the Evil Within and Evil Within 2, and he was a director on Evil Within 2, and they prototyped Hi-Fi Rush in 9 months. Him and the lead programmer made a prototype that you could swear to God looks like the fucking game, just with no assets in terms of how it looks.
Man,
and
that's
plays.
impressive.
Full grey box.
It was full grey box, but everything looked fucking fantastic. And they said they worked backwards, where they made the final version and then worked back, as opposed to taking everything and moving forward towards the final version. They had the final version basically in their heads, completely cleared. All the devs, we're making this. You know, it's a sort of version of like you know, do you work towards a recipe in the kitchen, or do you go to the kitchen and go, I've got these ingredients, I'll fucking fire stuff together.
That's what my wife does
it's
all
much
the
harder
time.
if you know what your end goal is going to be.
There's no screenshots of the grey box about. At least that are indexed by Google.
Probably
I might take
not.
a look at that later.
I would highly recommend watching the presentation. It is fucking excellent. They have, and the reason I bring this up is because they did the most unbelievable success of that game, and the unbelievable like story of we had a small team and we had like 2 dudes prototyped it for 9 months, and then we just kept going. We worked backwards on it, and it blew everyone's fucking mind from this like intense vision.
Sure.
And then Xbox let them go, and I'm like, after watching that, I was like,
Xbox let everybody go.
You had a team that could make, and obviously it's like they, you know, what's the chances of, you know, doing it again? Hard to say, right? But no, let's see in the future. But they're like, okay, you had a team of people who are really fucking good at literally making a game from scratch based on an insane vision from a director in pretty decent time period.
And they let them go.
A lot of what made it good was constant iteration, which they had a lot of time to do. But like they made the game super, super fast and super like effectively. Learned a shit ton of lessons about how to work and how to work together and how to solve all these problems. And like, yeah, goodbye. You're like, bro.
Yeah.
If I had
this is what happens. By the way, this isn't like a Microsoft specific thing, but this is what happens when you let a CTO or not, a CFO make the decisions for the company. So a lot of times the way these companies are, Microsoft is no different than a lot of these other big companies, is the CEO says, okay, we got to cut, you know, we want to get our budgets down to this. We want to have this much profit this year. I want our stock to go up to this. And they turn to the CFO and they're like, go make it happen. CFO turns around and says, okay, you know, I'm going to make it happen. You know, I'm going to fix the sheets a little bit. I'm going to fire people because people are just assets. Fuck them. And they just arbitrarily cut teams, not knowing anything about what they're really doing, not knowing anything about the, you know, the potential of what they're working on. And clearly they cut a team with a lot of potential here just to make the numbers and the balance sheets look nice.
If I was running a studio, the amount of fucking emails I would send Johannes' way, they'd be like, please come work for me. Holy fuck.
No.
Because of the talent acquisition and acquisition, from experimentation, from prototyping, from having that time in the trenches.
Economic headwinds, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
The wins, champion.
Yeah, so like you look at... here's a fun example. There was a stage that was too long. So they cut the middle of the stage out. There's a whole, like, maybe like a third of a stage.
Sure.
Maybe like 30, 40 minutes of gameplay that they just cut from the game.
Because
like, that feels a bit long, fuck it, whatever. Like, damn, nice.
That's one way to do it.
And it's all of those soft factors that lead to a great release.
Yeah.
I don't like that phrase anymore.
Yeah.
Now that phrase just came out of my mouth. But no, I will commit.
All
of those soft factors that lead to a great release are exactly the thing that the big decision makers do not seem to grasp.
Yes, which is why I'm super happy to see more things like the Brawlers Guild and archaeology experiments, because it's like they get to find fun, they get to develop the developers who will develop the game for the next 10 years.
Oh my god, we're going to make the robot makes the robots that makes the Dyson Swarm.
Except they're humans who have developed the creative tools and ability to create art.
No, bullshit. You see, here's the deal, Matt. The Rabbit R1 is powered by a large action model, so all you need to do is fire all of your developers and just buy all the Rabbit R1s and they'll make the game for you.
Why did you not cancel your prototype and download the APK?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, like Brawlers Guild is a nice thing for sure. And if they ever bring it back, or when they bring, how it's going to work, I think there's certainly a lot that they could use in it, right? And it's a fun piece of content, and I hope it does come back in a meaningful way. That would be really nice to see. Now, they do want to bring it back, they've said, in an evergreen format. That's great. When that'll happen, we'll have to wait and see. Not right away, they said, at least at the more within launch.